Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. And oh my God, we got another recap with episode 16 of Love Island season 3. We have some stuff to unpack and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you guys. So before we jump into this video, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications. If you like the video, smash that like button and drop a comment down in the comment section below. So without further ado, let's jump into this video. So, as I said, we are at where two villas become one tonight. But before that happens, this is where we pretty much see the first half of the show where everybody's pretty much deliberating between each other. The boys are talking here about what Will is going to do and what Cinco is going to do. Because pretty much Corey and Jeremy and Josh, it's pretty much in the bag for them. But there's Leslie, who of course have an interest in Corey and Cinco. And then he's trying to figure out whether to stick with Trina. And he's dealing with the whole question about cash. As we know, it's been an ongoing triangle. Then on the other side of Casa Amor, the girls are discussing some things. Now, the only thing about this situation that really gets me is Shannon. Now, Shannon is having a sidebar conversation about Cinco with Trina. And, of course, you got Olivia trying to figure her whole situation out. But then when Cash comes over, it seems like the conversation is trying to, I guess, push Cash into, yeah, you need to take Charlie. You need to take him back over there. And I've heard in some conversations and, you know, people on social media talking is like, okay, you having sidebar conversations with Trina about Cinco, but then you also go back and try to tell Cash what to do. The thing is, I'm not saying that she should go back with Cinco, but it's just real convenient that what she told Cash was her direction is, no, you need to think again, take Charlie over there, while she's definitely pushing Trina back into Cinco's camp. So I don't know what you think about that. Let me know. But of course, Leslie has got a few of the boys talking because she has a connection with several people. However, she's very, very, I would say, friendly. She speaks to everybody. And she had a few words of, I guess, consoling for Will. Because Will is all stuck up in this conundrum due to Flo and his connection with Kyra. And she gave him advice. That's what she is pretty much in this villa. Seems to be an advisor for some of these guys. But it was pretty much her telling him, look, you got to do what's best for you, you know. And if that means Flo, you need to go for Flo. Yeah, I mean, obviously, the girls want Flo to be the winner in this whole triangle. And then the guys over at Casa Amor, most of them don't have connections. The only person that really do is Charlie. And again, like I said yesterday, he was pretty much chilling. So both Olivia and also Josh get a text. And, of course, we all know what that text is about because tonight there is going to be a recoupling where they must decide to stay in their current relationship that they have or to recouple with either a new girl or a new boy that had come into both the villa and Casa Amor. And Will is just like, okay, it's decision time. Because I think, as I heard somebody say, decision day was going to be tomorrow. But obviously, they flipped the script on them. So while Kyra is deciding to have a USA moment with the girls, they still, I mean, Kyra is on pins and needles on whether or not, you know, something has happened on the other side. And I hate to break it to you, Kyra, there's a lot that's been going on the other side at the villa with your man, Will. So you're going to have to pretty much gear your mind up for that if you're going to go back single and try to figure this out with him. And then, of course, the guys, I mean, it's a shame. These were some pretty good guys. You had people like Trina and Olivia who was not making connections with anybody. There was only one guy that was really making a connection, and we're going to talk about that because that's a little suspect too, but that was Charlie. But Shannon is like, oh my God, from this experience, it really has grown us up and taught us a lot of things. And I'm like, yeah, okay, but Josh been over there living wild. Wait till you get his story. And I'm going to see how much grown up you have done once you hear what he has to say. Cinco is pretty much, I don't know if he feel like he's in the catbird seat because, of course, Leslie is feeling him. And then there, in his mind, this whole triangle with Trina and Cash. And unfortunately, I just wish Trina could have gave it a chance because some parts of her had to realize that Cinco is not 100% and that the connection that he had with Cash is a little bit more at a different level than it was with her. But she's not being honest with herself. She's just hoping. In the meantime, there's a conversation with Cam and Olivia can't connect with anybody. I don't know what she's looking for. I don't even think she knows what she's looking for. But, this guy's like, hey, if I'm not that dude for you, don't just spare me and bring me across just because. If you're not feeling me, you're not feeling me. I'm okay with that. And I'm glad that they had that conversation. Olivia should have went home along with Jeremy because they've been floating through time. Because they could have kept somebody else and maybe that person would have matched up with somebody over at Casa. But it's just not clicking with her. She's been there from day one and has not had a connection. Now, another person that's been trying to connect with somebody is Corey. Now, again, I said Leslie had multiple connections or interests. Corey was one of them, and he really likes her. Now, I guess the hesitation on his end is due to the fact that Leslie has been sniffing around Cinco as well. And so he was kind of up in the air because the other girl that he's interested in, which is Isabel is not as vulnerable and open with him. And that was the biggest issue right now for her, that, she needs to kind of, and really we haven't seen much of her. We've seen her a couple times have some conversation with Corey, but she has been pretty much stagnant. Whereas we've seen Leslie talk to pretty much everybody. She's definitely exploring her options and trying to make connections. And that's what this is supposed to be for. And he's feeling that connection with Leslie. I think he said that he slept in bed the night before with Isabel, and it just wasn't clicking. Whereas he really wants to explore this thing. But remember, Leslie was in bed with Cinco. So we'll see where that goes. I honestly believe that I don't feel a connection with those two. Now, there's this other connection that's the only connection going on in Casa, and that is Cashay and Charlie. And one thing I will say about this coupling, he seems really passive. It seems like she's doing all of the tugging and she'll pull him toward her, or she'll pull him over here, or she'll tell him to come here. His questions have been kind of his answers to her questions have been kind of lukewarm. I don't 100% feel what's going on with Charlie. Now, Cash is all in. She claims she manifested this guy. He's perfect for her, and I don't know if this is maybe her reaction to what's going on with Cinco, and she feels like, sometimes people try to have a knee-jerk reaction, especially when there's another person involved. And this guy is like, oh my God, I could take him back. And oh man, it will really trigger something out of that other person. But he's just like, yeah, I'm here for you. Yeah, it's going to be us. But his physical, or I say nonverbal communication is opposite. Because she's always pulling and the tugging and the jumping on and all that type of stuff. And I mean, even the body language in this scene, He's just like, okay, I'm over here. And he looked kind of blanked at the camera too. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Now, Isabel, who realizes that she's on thin ice with Corey, she decides to meet up with him and have a conversation. And now she wants to be open and vulnerable. And she was like, I have a hard time, opening up. And I just want to be vulnerable with you and tell you that I really, really, truly like you. And I hope that we can make a connection. And I think it's a day late and a dollar short, because Corey has pretty much built this connection with Leslie. They had the midnight cereal run and everything, and it's not there. I think she had an opportunity and she blew it. And that's so unfortunate, because when you trying to play coy, you have to be intentional. And if you're not intentional, you get left behind in some cases. So then we had Leslie trying to secure her position with Cinco to try to get, an idea of where she's standing. And he was still saying the same thing. I really like you. I think you're attractive. I like your free spiritedness. But, there is still Trina and Cash. And I want to explore that as well. And I don't want to let you go, but I also need to figure out what's going on with these two. I think he knows what he wants. Most men do know what they want. He just don't want to hurt one of those two girls' feelings. That's what it is. I honestly believe that he wants Cash. He don't know how to break it to Trina, and now he's stuck. That's what that comes down to. Will, on the other hand, is just torn. I mean, he is so torn because he has a connection with, of course, Flo. But, Josh is like, look, dude, and I don't know how many times people got to tell him this. And it seems like it's a repeat conversation with different people. You got to do what's best for you. You got to make the choice that's going to work in your best interest. And if that's Flo, go with Flo. If it's not her, then you find your connection deeper with Kyra. You need to go that route. It's just a merry-go-round with these two. Again, we having another conversation because Olivia is just, they like, are you okay? No, she's not okay because she should have been gone. And I know I keep saying that because she is not making a real connection with anybody. And then she said, I can't believe that I have not made any type of, don't these guys know what I am and know what I have to offer? And I'm like, Giovanni did. You just chose not to pursue Giovanni. Giovanni was all about you. He tried to treat you like a queen. On his way out, he was yelling over the, while you up on the top banister and whatever he was doing. So for her to claim that, it's just nonsense. So now we're at the point, because it's coming down to the wire, everybody's trying to figure out a decision. And Charlie is pretty much, I don't know where Charlie is. Will is in a conundrum. Cinco is in a conundrum. And Leslie is wondering who gonna pick her. Kyra, on the other hand, she's excited, but she's scared. And she should be. So now it's that time, and Ariel comes over to the villa. Because now two villas will become one. This is where, of course, they make the decision. And, of course, Josh is first. He has the strongest connection because they've been together pretty much since day one. And, of course, we knew what his choice was going to be, which was Shannon. Shannon was, of course, very happy. She acted like she was so confident she knew that was going to happen. Well, Shannon, wait till you find out what your boy have been doing with all that chocolate syrup when you were over at Casa. But I guess you'll get that conversation later. Then there's Jeremy. Another one. Him and Olivia should have rode off in the sunset together. Jeremy picked Genevieve. The interesting thing is the look on Shannon's face when Jeremy picked Genevieve. And we hear her say, oh my goodness, poor boy. What the heck does that mean? Because she's friends with her little sister. Then Olivia decides to come back alone. She's not coupled up with anybody. Cam is, I guess, gone bye-bye. And so Olivia decides to choose to stay single. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I can say. I'm not going to even rehash that. It's Cinco's turn. And they drug that commercial break out for 5 minutes before we can get back to Cinco. Come on, CBS, really? I know you got to pay some bills, but okay. But Cinco, instead of choosing Leslie because he wanted to stay in the couple, and I think he was pretty much banking on the fact of sticking with Trina to stay safe to get back the cash, he picked Trina, which means Leslie was out, or still available. And of course Trina was like, oh my God, I'm so happy. I am so glad that I'm back. I missed him, blah, 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 blah. And you could tell the demeanor on Cinco's face was like, yeah, okay. Yeah. All right, we back together. Trina was on cloud 9. Cinco was like, yeah, I miss you. I miss you too. They didn't even kiss. The body language with them was just distant. Leslie was looking like, oh, well, okay, I got other options. And that other option is Corey. Now, he was originally coupled up as one of the number one of top couples with Cashay. He was having to choose between Leslie and, of course, Isabel. And it was a tough decision for him. But when he said that this girl was vulnerable with him, I thought sure he was picking Isabel. But he ended up picking Leslie. And I would say, yeah, she's pretty open. She's very vocal in her communication. And so now Corey is coupled up with Lauren, which at Isabel's dismay, it really upsetted her. But like I said, you was a day late and $1 short. You just don't sit there playing coy. This game is weeks, not months and years. And in this case, Amor was only 3 days. So if you wanted to captivate Corey's heart, you had to dive in deep. Now, with that being said, Corey is now coupled up, which means Cinco was definitely looking to see whether Cash was coming by herself. And the answer to that question is no. She brought Charlie back with her. And the look on his face, and especially when Cash was like, oh, I just manifested this man. He's everything that I've always wanted. The look on Cinco's face was like, oh, shoot. Yeah, he expected her to go over there, chill out, and come back alone. Now, I live for that look and that particular scene because, he was the top of that triangle. Well, unfortunately, Cinco, she's off the market. She's coupled up. So, you got to eat crow on that one. Now, last but not least is Will. And Will has a huge decision to make to pursue things with Flo and see how that go. Because honestly, I don't know. It seemed like they had a deep connection, but I need to decipher whether it was more physical than anything. Whereas Kyra and he have an emotional and mental connection. Because we really haven't seen the physical. I missed the first Monday exclusive because they went to the Hideaway. I didn't get a chance. I didn't have Paramount Plus at that time. So I didn't see them in the Hideaway. But outside of that, I didn't see the physical connection. I see the emotional. They're doing things together. The yoga, the cooking, blah, 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 blah. Whereas he had a more deeper physical connection. And he chose to stay with Kyra. I hope he's happy on that decision to leave Flo behind, because I think a part of him, his heart is, a piece of that is still with Flo. And, it seemed like she took it in stride, and we'll see how that's going to happen and whatnot. Charlie came in and, Cash was like, oh my God, meet Charlie. And I'm like, okay, all right. And then we hear Shannon telling Kyra, I think you need to have a conversation with your man. And then he's talking to Flo like, we're going to always be friends forever. And I'm like, how you going to do that? And then he said that once I explain it to Kyra, she's going to be okay. Just, let me take care of that. And I'm like, I don't think so. Unless you think that she's really that passive, I don't see Kyra going for that. But, we'll definitely have to see. So we get to say goodbye to Kay, Flo, and Isabel. But y'all, did y'all see what's about to go down tomorrow night?
Are you serious? Tomorrow night!
I watched Amor. I was like, wait, do I like Corey? I do feel something with you, to be honest.
So you kissed her multiple times in bed?
Yeah, we kissed in the bed.
I know you still have feelings for Cash, so we're back to square one.
So what about Charlie? I don't know.
Olivia trying to hit up on Corey. We got Cash still ain't over Cinco, and Kyra got some decisions to make. Oh my gosh. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a crazy one. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you tomorrow.